abortion is not a complex issue. It's a very simple issue. That's either a life or it isn't. It's that simple. If it's a life, you can't kill it. If it's not a life, you can do whatever you want. It's a kidney, right? So, and then it becomes, okay, so how do we define life? And the answer to me is you define life by the same way that you would define life if you found it on Mars, right? If you found a single-celled organism on Mars, it's a life, right? I know, as somebody who has one baby and another on the way, you know, that what's in there is not a random piece of tissue. At the very least, even if you don't believe it's a life yet, it's certainly a potential human life. And that seems to be more valuable than your convenience. And there's something nasty and cruel and degrading about the idea that you get to decide whether something is a life or not based on whether it's convenient to you or because it's in your body. By the way, this is exactly... It truly is amazing, actually, how history repeats itself. The argument in favor of abortion is exactly the same as the argument in favor of slavery. Exactly the same, right? You're on my land. I get to decide. It's up to me to decide whether you're a person or property. It's up to me, right? What are you going to say? It's on my land. What are you going to do about it? The basic premise of socialism is, I'm here, I'm breathing, give me crap. Right? You have an obligation to care for me. I have a right to health care. I can force that doctor to go to medical school, expend $200,000, spend her entire life learning medicine, and then I can walk into her house.
So women should just, say suck it and have a child, suck it up and have a child?
Well, if you get pregnant, yes, because you don't get to kill things just because it's in your uterus.
It's my body. How about you just stay out of it?
How about it's a baby?
How about
you don't get to kill it
you're talking so much about how...
I don't care about your appendix. I don't care about your thorax. I don't even care about your uterus. I care about what's in it.
And I can take out my appendix if I don't want it. So why can't I take out other parts of my body?
Because they're not independent living human beings.
They're not independently living human beings when they're a bundle of cells.
Oh, okay. So let me get this. At what point? So okay, let's assume that your scientific knowledge is vast. Let's assume your scientific knowledge. So are you also against partial birth abortion?
I think I don't understand why people would have
at what point does that bundle of cells become a human being in your view?
Sorry.
No, really. I mean, this is.
I just need to calm down for a minute.
Sorry, Judge.
Do you want to go to another question?
No, I mean, that is the relevant question. If your argument is that it's a bundle of cells, then the question becomes when it's not a bundle of cells.
Unless it's a threat to the mother, they form maternal abortion shouldn't happen. But if it's a threat to the mother's health or the mother, I don't see why he would force a living human being to give birth to that.
Because it's another living human being.
So you're going to kill the mother to save the baby? And
no, hold on. You're talking about a case where the mother's life is in danger. I don't know what you're talking about.
Care and stuff after they're born.
I agree with you that abortion is an exception when the mother's life is in danger.
But the concept of bodily autonomy means that I don't have to give up any part of my body unless I say so.
The baby is not part of your body. The baby is a baby.
Really,
my wife is pregnant right now, and she's 30 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Actually 32. That baby is kicking the living crap out of her. Okay, that is a living human being in there. Okay, and I promise you that it is not a bundle of cells. Okay, I can guarantee you it's not a bundle of cells because that is a baby. Okay, and I'm sorry,
but a bundle of cells that is requiring.
You're technically a bundle of cells right now. And it turns out I didn't need to see a black guy as president to believe that black people could be presidents in the United States. The only people who believe that are people who are misinformed about the nature of the United States by the Democratic Party and actual racists. I'm offended by the language of uprising applied to people who are breaking into other black people's stores and looting them. This is a lack of values. And people who are destroying private property, destroying cop cars, in an uprising against what exactly? Against the black police chief, against a mostly minority police force, against the black mayor, against the black president, against the black attorney general, against against a city council that is 9 of 15 are black and all 15 are elected Democrats. What is the uprising against? What is it seeking to achieve? I still don't see what exactly the riots are seeking to achieve. Bottom line is, this is all... It all could be boiled down to just act like a mensch. Act like a human being. Honestly, it's not useful to riot, it's not useful to break things, it's not useful to throw rocks at people. And the idea that we're supposed to sort of correlate your level of outrage.
I'm going to stick to the 30 seconds on
this.
The
last sentence. The last sentence. Yeah. The idea that we're supposed to correlate your level of outrage with a certain level of justification. In other words, the more outraged you are and the more angry you are, the more justified you must be. My wife is a doctor, okay, which means she's accomplished more in her short life than Hillary Clinton has in her entire life. My wife's a doctor who takes care of people. She never at any point in her life sat around thinking, you know what, I can't be a doctor until Hillary Clinton, a corrupt old shrew, becomes a presidential nominee. My mom, when I was growing up, my mom worked and my dad was a stay-at-home dad. And my mom didn't sit around wondering, can I run film and television companies? I don't know. I'll have to think about whether Hillary Clinton could become president. And this is all so stupid. Women, by the way, are a majority of bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and associate's degrees. Next year, according to the American Bar Association, there will be a majority of law students in the United States. American women don't need Hillary Clinton to shatter a glass ceiling that doesn't exist. Social justice is an oxymoron. Okay? If a guilty man is acquitted because he's the right race, that is anti-justice. If an innocent man is convicted because he's the wrong race, that's anti-justice. Social justice, however, suggests that your group identity, your identity as a person, relieves you of individual responsibility to be a decent human being. So you get to interrupt lectures if you're the right race or if you're the right gender or the right sexual orientation. You get to do these things without punishment because, after all, that's in the nature of social justice, group justice. We don't hold you responsible for your individual actions. You get extra points in heaven because you were born with a certain skin color or sexual orientation.